Hey guys, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I'm continuing my series on how to sing like. And next up is Whitney Houston. Before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe to my channel. That would be really cool. Don't forget to ring the bell so I can keep new cool videos coming your way. And I have a singing course. The course is called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. You can find it right here at kentamplinvocalacademy.com. And I have a free singing forum there where you can join up, kind of kick the tires a little bit and see what level of singing is right for you, whether it's beginners, intermediate, all the way to the most advanced levels of singing. And that's why we're taking on Whitney Houston today. Now, this is pretty brave to do this, and I've actually covered this with a couple of my KTVA vocalists, and I want to go through this because it's one thing to just talk about how to sing like somebody. It's another thing to actually demonstrate and prove a technique to show you how something works. Now, I'm not going to just give you a little tip of ooh, eh, ee, oh, ooh, some weird sound to make with your mouth or some way to kind of start off how to sound like someone. I'm giving you the actual goods on what it really takes to get to this level of excellence. Now, that's a big statement because I don't know that we're ever going to get to the same excellence as Whitney, so I'm not claiming that. But what I'm saying is that we can certainly understand how she got to where she is and hopefully aspire towards that kind of greatness. So with that said, I'm going to get started right away. I'm going to go ahead and do All the Man I Need. And I had a KTVA vocalist, Aliona. I did this with quite some time ago. And we're going to dial in right here. Here we go. And we'll talk about it as we go.
I used to cry myself to sleep at night.
Cool. Now, immediately we have perfect pitch, killer head voice, cool runs that aren't overdone and, you know, again, gratuitous where there's so much of them that they're like, okay, again, that's enough. You know, ooh, really pretty, you know, beautiful, round tone, tubular sounding head voice. And then Whitney was just an absolute master ninja at mixed voice. I mean, you could almost never tell when she was mixing how much percentage of air she's using in a sound for effect and back and forth, and then that power belting. Now, the reason that Whitney is so esteemed is not only because she was an awesome singer, she set the bar so high so that whenever, you know, all these, you know, singing shows said, okay, I'm going to do, you know, And I Will Always Love You. Well, you got tired of hearing that song. Yes, it's true, but it's because anyone that could nail that song the way Whitney did or even come close said a lot about that person's ability to sing. Okay, she set the bar that high. So as we're going through this, I'm going to point out some things and how do we get to these different places and show you how this technique works with my students in action. Okay.
That was all before he came. I thought love had to hurt to turn alright, but now he's here. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Cool. Same. That beautiful, perfect vibrato. Right. So now the way she moves her vocal tract, it's very deceiving because it sounds like she's got a lot of movement in it. You know, let me go back to this and we've got two tunes to do. So I'm going to pick this apart.
Not the same. It's not the same.
It sounds like like there's a lot of movement in the track. It's not the same, right? It's I. She's moving very little bit in the back of the throat. The jaw does move, and a lot of people criticized her vibrato, calling it gospel jaw. And that's a form of vibrato that people refer to as non-natural, something that's not natural. I think that's a bunch of crap. Whitney had the most beautiful vibrato. It was very natural. And yes, she grew up in the gospel communities where she probably saw, like Steve Perry did the same thing, where they saw their jaws moving. They figured that little jolt sort of had to help them either start off their vibrato or maintain their vibrato or give them some extra wiggle to their vibrato. Not true in Whitney's case. She used it for effect, for some stage presence and persona and, you know, stage effect and whatnot. But, you know, not the same. right? Go like this, go, yeah, 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 yeah. And it kind of gives the imitation as though there's vibrato there. But if you listen to Whitney, you listen to what we're doing here with Aliona, there's that a little bit going on for a visual effect, but the vibrato is happening in the back of the throat, and the vocal tract is not moving very much. I know that's a lot of information. I cover all this in my singing course. Again, I'm not going to give you just little tips on how to get a little bit like Whitney. I'm going to really discuss a lot of the things that made Whitney great. So.
It fills me up. It gives me love. More love than I've ever seen. Is all
Now, if you notice with my KTVA vocalists, you can always see into the back of their throats. It's like, oh, it's kind of gross, man. I can see like her uvula, and I can see the soft palate moving up and down. I can literally, like a doctor can go all the way back with a flashlight and see the back of the throat. Exactly. That's exactly what we want. He fills me up. He gives me love. More love than I've ever need. Wrong lyric, sorry. Right? And there's very little variation in the vowel. The vocal tract is really consistent, and the vowels are very subtle, moving from vowel to vowel. I cover this thoroughly in my section of vocal tract shaping in my singing course, and why this is so important, and how to not over enunciate so you can have beautiful, contiguous, whole long tail, long phrase singing.
I've got. He's all I've got in this world, but he's all the man that I need.
Now, I'm sorry to keep stopping this, but all I've got in this world. Sometimes she'll use a raised larynx position, raised laryngeal position for a little bit of froggy effect. And he's all the man that I need. And then she drops it, right? So she'll bring in a raised laryngeal position to kind of do something for effect, for a sexy vocal effect, and then she drops it. It's a dangerous position to have because a lot of people do that by default, because that's what happens when we go up to get notes, is the larynx are raised and it chokes off the trachea and it chokes off the back of the throat, and it really screws with open throat technique. But she was so good at it. So is Maria Callas and other people like that, amazing opera stars. But she was so good at it that she could control her laryngeal position a lot. I do it all the time too. But you got to learn how to keep a lowered, by the way, in my course, I talk about this. A lot of people in opera say you always have to have a neutral position, a neutral laryngeal position. That's actually not true. It is true that in early opera and early bel canto, they taught a neutral position, but they also took 3 to 4 years to teach vowel sounds before they would ever let you ever even touch an aria. So imagine training vowels for 3 or 4 years before you're allowed to sing a song. Kind of weird, right? So very few people want to take that kind of time to do that. In fact, almost nobody, unless you're studying that kind of purist old bel canto apagio opera. So what I have come up with is a different kind of technique that works and is extremely effective, especially for rock and belting pop singing, is to start with a lowered laryngeal position so that you have control of the larynx, so it doesn't automatically raise up to you, make your digastric muscle underneath the chin drop down and all the crap that brings a lot of girth and muscle mass up into the throat. When you can control the larynx in a lowered position, and Whitney, not Brittany, that's a different person, does it all the time, where she'll, so stay, right? You're going to hear this in I Will Always Love You. I might remember to talk about it when I get to the beginning of that. But anyway, so a lowered position so that when you relax the throat, you relax the larynx into a neutral position, and then that feels natural. If we start in a neutral position, then what happens is typically we can't control it, and it raises to a raised position, and we get caught in the throat. And that's why we feel like we're gagging on our vowels. There's a lot of constriction in the throat. So we talk about all this in my singing course, and Whitney was a master at this. So a little sidebar, thought I'd bring that up since we're talking technical, right? One of my favorite Whitney songs, by the way, is this.
He takes me down and marks me slow, and in the evening when the moon's high, he holds me close and won't let go. He won't let go.
point that out. She did a good job on this one. This is one of her better pieces for what I like about Aliona's voice. Won't let go. Right. So the other thing that Whitney was awesome at doing, so is Maria Callas. I keep bringing her up because she's killer too at doing stuff like this. Maria would have like all these different vibratos she'd use for different, emotion and passion and, whatever. Whitney did the same thing. She brought it into the front of the face. Won't let go. Right? She brings some nasality into the sound, again, for effect. She doesn't do it all the time. She's not like Jennifer Hudson or someone who kind of always sings with that tonality. She's actually uses it, brings it in, pulls it back. Raises the laryngeal position, drops the larynx, da-da-da, and she goes back and forth and uses all of these calisthenics, and you have no idea she's doing all this stuff, right? Maybe she didn't even know she was doing all this stuff, but from technical, breakdown of everything we're doing and trying to describe this, teach it, and show you how to do it, we have to go through all the technicality of this, not to mention her just incredible natural gift and passion, which was off the charts great. So,
He fills the air.
and the power from the abdomen.
He gives me love.
Yeah!
My love that I've ever seen. He's all I've got. He's all I've got in this world. But he's the man that I need.
Back to mix, belting chest, back and forth. Okay, now, so there's that, and it's one thing to have one student do it, right? Or it's another thing. I pride myself on the fact that I demonstrate this not just myself, but with most of my students, we sing in all kinds of different styles. So Aliona sings all kinds of rock stuff, pop stuff, R&B stuff. Sarah, all kinds of rock stuff, pop stuff, R&B stuff. So we sing in multi-timbral different styles to show that no, we're not one-trick ponies and doing something one-dimensional, and that the technique only works for one thing, rock singing or belting or whatever. No, it works. It's great technique is great technique, and it gives you the toolbox to free you up to do whatever sing anything you want. So let's move on to Sarah. I don't even think this is released yet, so we'll release this soon. But check this out.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way.
Before we go on, really hard to go and sing that long in pitch and maintain pitch without kind of varying or going up and down and getting in and out of pitch all the way through a whole phrase like that. In fact, it's when what I teach in KTVA is that once you hear the anchor note of a song or the root note of a song, you should be able to sing a song end to end a cappella and not deviate from the pitch up or down even 2 or 3 cents. It should be consistent all the way through, and you should be able to lock that pitch into your brain. It's something I cover in my singing course as far as identifying good, hard, rock solid pitch. So.
And I will always love you.
Now back and forth. Now this is a little different. And I will always love you. I will always. Right, she's going in and out of little nasality, and a little back off the nasality, back into nasality, a little bit of mixed voice, a little bit of chest, a little percentage variation therein. We cover all of this in my singing course, how to do this.
Will always love you.
By dropping the vibrato at the right time.
Darling, you. Bittersweet memories. That is all I'm taking with me. So goodbye. Please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you
Now notice too the consistency, whether it was Aliona, whether it's Sarah, whether it's Gabriella, whether it's, all my different students, Katie, they're extremely consistent. It's kind of funny. I see people saying this to me all the time, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, they're saying, Guy, all your singers kind of sound the same, but different. In other words, I can't quite put my finger on it, but they all have this power, and they can all sing in these different styles, and they all can sing with distortion or not with distortion, or they can sing a ballad or a rock song, but they all this kind of tubular, round, powerful, non-constricted sound, but they have their own unique identity to their voices. How do you do that? I'm glad you asked. It's called open throat technique, and I cover this in my singing course, where we start by maintaining good open throat vowel sounds, and once we build muscle memory for those sounds and non-constricting throat, keeping the throat open, I should say, and good diaphragmatic support, we can do anything we want with a voice. It could be a ballad, or you can hear Sarah sing a rock song. For crying out loud, we just did Dio with Sarah. You look at Gabriella, we do Iron Maiden and Dio and all these heavy rock bands, Guns N' Roses. And then we turn around and we do some R&B song, just go, you can look at all the different stuff that we do back and forth. That's true with Aliona, that's true for the Katie, it's true for Sarah, it's true for, and all our guys, same thing, where we work out this open throat technique to sing in all these different styles. But she's going to hit the chorus here, and I want you to pay special attention to the open throat vowels. Here we go. Now let's, and I will always love you. I will right? We're very consistent with the vowels, and we're not shifting those vowels so big as we lose control of them or they become so top heavy. Now, there's another really, really important component to this. It's not just the vowels themselves at one key, where we're singing in one key or one note value. In this case, this is, I think, an A. Or this A, and it modulates to B. I'd have to look. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Anyway, the important thing about this is that as we go up and down our scales, or up and down a passage, or in different ranges of singing, those vowels have to be modified in different ways up and down the vocal tract. Now, this is important because we have to train these vowels that as we go higher and higher, we have to close down the vowel sounds, and they have to be more closely related to each other. Now, this may sound complicated, and to some degree it is if you don't know it, you don't know how to do it, and you're kind of just shooting in the dark trying to figure this stuff out. But in my singing course, I cover how we get to these vowel sounds, and how as the higher up we sing, the more closely related they are, and how what the position of those vowels are. As we come back down a pitch or a range, then we can open up those vowel sounds, and we can be a little bit more liberal with how big we can make the vowels themselves. So anyway, gang, I'm doing most of this by request. So if you've got someone you'd like me to do a takedown on how to sing like, definitely do it. For sure, check out my singing course at KenTamplinVocalAcademy.com, and check out my next video.